Nintendo just had its big summer Nintendo Direct, and believe it or not, for the end of the current Switch lifecycle, they still have a lot of games in the bag, like Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, or even Super Mario Party Jamboree, and a brand new Mario & Luigi with Mario & Luigi Brothership, so there's still some things to get excited about. But we knew that this Nintendo Direct was coming because Nintendo had come out a couple of months ago and stated it, that yeah, we'd be having a Nintendo Direct, but it wasn't going to talk about Switch 2, as that was going to be announced in a separate thing sometime this fiscal year. Well, the Nintendo Direct is finally over, and as we're beginning to jump into the month of July, it's now time to predict what's next for Nintendo. What's next this year, and is Nintendo ready to jump into the Switch presentation sooner than later? Well, let's talk about it and talk about exactly what Nintendo's plans could be for the rest of this year. So when would Nintendo have a presentation like this? Now, we've been trying to figure this out for a very long time, because it seemed like initially Nintendo was actually planning to have a big Switch 2 presentation in March. I mean, all the signs were pointing towards it, and the fact that Nintendo didn't even have a general direct to start the year in February instead with the partner direct, it really did seem like that's exactly what was going to happen, and all the leaks were coming true. They were stating that we were going to get a partner direct, and we did, and then all the information was coming out that very soon in the month of March we would have received that Switch presentation, until ultimately we got news that it seemed like Nintendo delayed everything and pushed everything back because the Switch 2 wasn't ready, as it was looking to come at the end of this year, and Nintendo ended up pushing it back to what seems to be the beginning of next year, to match more along the lines of the launch of the original Switch. Now, the rumor suggested that this was all because of software. Their launch lineup didn't seem to be strong enough for them, or maybe some stuff wasn't ready, and they had to push things back to make sure that they had a stellar first year for this new console, which I couldn't agree more with. That is probably your most important thing, is because games sell consoles. Making sure you have a really strong, solid lineup for that first year of that new console is important, because look at how unbelievably amazing 2017 was for the start of the Switch. I mean, you had a brand new open world Zelda game with Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, Splatoon 2, and that's just some of the many titles that we got that year. After reading that tweet, it really makes me think that Nintendo's plans were all focused on that Direct first, and once that Direct was out, then we could get ready to speculate what's next, because Nintendo didn't say, you know what, watch this Nintendo Direct in June, it's not going to have anything to do with Switch 2, also watch the Direct in September, it's not going to have anything to do with Switch 2. Yeah, it's just weird. I feel like it's almost strange to go through another Nintendo Direct and still not know about Switch 2. So in my eyes, I kind of want to say that we should be getting information about Switch 2 for the September Nintendo Direct, or we might not even get a September Nintendo Direct this year. It's hard to say. I mean, after all, do we need one? It seems like Nintendo has already fleshed out everything that they needed to for the rest of this year, and even stuff for next year. Whether that stuff is coming to Switch 2 or not, we know, for instance, Donkey Kong Country Returns HD is coming to Nintendo Switch in January, so we don't really know anything else. And if there is a Switch 2 launch at the beginning of next year, they don't need much else outside of that in January. I mean, we also know Pokemon Legends ZA is coming, so maybe that hits the mark right before Switch 2, but honestly, I feel like if I was Pokemon Company and Nintendo, I'd probably want that game to launch with Switch 2 as well, as a big, huge new title for people, like Pokemon fans would really enjoy that on new hardware. And also, we have Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, which a lot of people think might be a cross-release for Switch and Switch 2, or it might just be a Switch 2 game. We really don't know. But like I said, Nintendo seems to have gotten everything out that they needed to. There's really nothing left in the tank for Nintendo to reveal for Switch 1. Everything else, I feel like it's time for the big Switch 2 games. We have every IP that we could have asked for. Yes, there might be a couple of remakes, remasters that are still left in the tank, but I really doubt it at this point. I think everything from here on out is going to be focused on Switch 2. And based on Nintendo's tweet, I still think like Nintendo wants to get ahead of this thing very soon, since the Direct is now out of the way. And I know a lot of people are looking for like an October or November reveal for this thing, but to me that seems a little too far, and I'm going to once again tell you why I think that, but I have a feeling that we could be seeing it sooner than later. So naturally, I'm trying to think in my head, you know, everything that happened at the beginning of this year, if it was all delayed and pushed back, and that means everything was pushed back. So What I'm thinking was, originally maybe Nintendo was planning to have a Nintendo Direct, like a general Direct in February, and it was going to be exactly what we just got here in the month of June. It was going to reveal Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, Donkey Kong Country Returns, it was going to show off Mario Party Jamboree, and probably even Metroid Prime 4, all that good stuff that we got, even Mario and Luigi. And maybe all of those things were going to release towards the middle of this year. Like right now, we would have been receiving some of those games and some of the rest all the way until like August and like September, and finally ending it there. That would mean even with those announcements, Nintendo would still have had a presentation the next month, being the month of March. So they would have had a big Direct in February, followed by the presentation in March that would have set them up really good for the year. As most of these games come out in about 3 to 4 months, Nintendo probably would have had all the games probably released already around this summer and into the fall, and then end the season with a big Switch 2 launch and a big, huge launch title for this holiday. So people worried that Nintendo was going to ruin some of these game surprises by announcing Switch 2 before they release is just not true, because Nintendo's probably gonna have to. Mario and Luigi doesn't come out until November, and I'm sure that Switch 2 will be announced either before then or right around then, so I don't think it's going to tarnish any of these games just by announcing what's coming in the future for Nintendo. So if Nintendo did push everything back, meaning that we now got our Nintendo Direct in June, does that mean we're going to get some type of big presentation next month in July? Probably not, but I wouldn't just completely dismiss it. And once again, one of those reasons is still haunting me. It's still floating around me as we speak because it just doesn't add up, and that's when it comes to the launch title. I've made so many videos already talking about how Nintendo likes to hype up their next huge AAA game. It's always announced around a year or more in advance to really get hype built around it, and I've talked about multiple occasions of Nintendo doing this, and Mario is definitely no exception. And I think we can all come together and agree that the launch title for Switch 2 is either going to be a 3D Mario or Mario Kart, but both of those are for sure probably coming year one of Switch 2. Now, whichever Nintendo wants to go with, I feel like they have to reveal this game. I mean, there was a chance that they could have revealed it at this past Nintendo Direct, and I've been saying that there was a good chance we could see a Switch 2 game there, and we very well could have with Metroid Prime 4. That could have been a Switch 2 game. We don't know. It could be a cross-release game. We don't know. We just know it's a 2025 game. So my bets are still placing on Switch 2. Yeah, I thought there was a pretty good solid chance we could have seen that new Mario game there. Right now, we are sitting around 9 months until the month of March for next year, and Nintendo's kind of running out of time to reveal a huge launch title and get that speculation and hype up. And I've seen people say Nintendo doesn't care about hype, and that's just absolutely not true. If that was the case, they wouldn't have revealed Breath of the Wild so early as they did, or Tears of the Kingdom years in advance, or Metroid Prime 4 as early as they did. Nintendo loves to generate hype. We just got news from the recent investors meeting that said Nintendo loved hype and that it calculated into their sales a lot, and it was part of their main strategy, and that's why they're cracking down on leakers so much. And that's another reason why they just haven't talked about Switch 2 yet, is because they want it to be a surprise and they want it to be hype. Nintendo loves hype. I don't know where we got to the point where we're saying Nintendo doesn't like that, when like that's literally all they do. Some of their biggest reveals are like that last thing in the Nintendo Direct, or the first thing that opens up a Direct and gets us excited. So yeah, I don't know what that's about. But anyways, back to what I'm saying. Yes, this new huge game I feel like needs to be revealed very soon, and I feel like we just got the last Nintendo Direct focused for current Switch, because I just don't think there's anything left in the tank possibly for Switch 1. Nothing at all, unless it's extremely small, and that's not going to be enough stuff to fill a general Nintendo Direct for the month of September. So I don't know. To me, I'm expecting something to pop off before we get to the month of September, and if I was a betting man, I think we could be getting something in August, or maybe as a replacement for the Direct in September. That's where I'm placing my bets. I feel like it's happening very, very soon. Buckle up. Hype is really going to go through the roof. I know it. It's getting time to reveal this thing, and I think Nintendo knows it as well. Of course, I want to hear what you guys think. Do you think a Switch 2 presentation is imminent now that the Nintendo Direct is out of the way, or do you think it's going to be a while until we see the thing? Do you also agree with me on the fact, or disagree with me, that Nintendo needs to show that launch title very soon, as we're running out of time to see what that is and get the hype revealed for the game? But let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe before you head out, and like always, I'll see you all on the next one. See ya, guys.